So this book is pitched at the very top end of a grade 8. Some of it actually falls into a 9, but the student scored the very top end, one point short of a grade 9, and it was actually the final outcome that costs a grade 9 as opposed to the sketchbook work. The sketchbook work, I think, is a grade 9. So this is our first initial ideas page, like you've seen in others, and there were more than one starting point. I think there was 6 or 7. We've got curve and straight, image and word, but this student opts for the portrait question. And there's lots of little musings on here, rather than just keywords or bullet points. There's a lot of personality in this. And then again, linking to the title. And when you read through some of this, we've got a definite personal response, which is AO4. It's good to read and understand the thinking behind things. So each page is beautifully presented. There's our title page. And this piece is done in like a Pro Marker pen, bit of collage. These are stuck onto the black background, and then she's used colour and worked into it with pen for tone. Then we've got a little mood board here looking at black and white photography and TV from right back in, I think, like say the 70s, bit vintage. Then we have a colour mood board, and she actually says colour. She didn't need to, but there we've got colour references, so she might use this to draw from, but it's definitely the start of her journey. It's recording ideas, AO3. Then we have photography, so these are pictures that she's taken, some self-portraits, some of friends and family, and I can see that there's a lot of thought gone into how she's taken it, setting up the photo, and how it's going to work towards her final piece. And then again, and this is her way of presentation. It doesn't have to be done like this, but it's very successful. And again, personal response, because this is her family, her and her family together. Nice. And a few more. Okay. So then we've got some written response, and that's not something everyone will do. This student liked to come at it in, say, more of an academic side. She was a writer. She liked to, and it oozes intelligence. It's brilliant to read, and again, scores so well for personal response. However, this is not everyone's cup of tea. This is not the reason why she was knocking on the door of a 9. Some people can write very little and the artwork speaks for itself. That's okay, but this student liked to write, and that was good, and everything she did write was wonderful to read. So we go on to a tonal studies page. She has put a title, not necessary, but that's okay. And we've got a beautiful ink and bleach piece of work there. I mean, I just think that's fantastic. Different solutions of bleach. So somewhere it's being watered down, so it's not as strong. And then this one's where it's 100% bleach, but like that level of detail, little tiny highlights, and that's exceptional work. Then we've got some monoprints. We could argue that they didn't work as well. However, she's annotated and it's a media, so we put it in. This is a white pencil onto black paper. So she's really understood there to let the black show through as the tone, and then to build up from mid-tones to the highlight with the pencil as strong as it'll go, capturing the beautiful pattern in the shirt. And I think already we can see that this is a high top-end, highly developed set of skills going on here. A few more. So she's saying the second attempt was better. That's good. So it shows that she's not just given up on this one, and that does definitely improve development, trying and, you know, taking risks. And if something doesn't work, let's have another go. And then this one was oil pastel. So this works really well for AO3, making observations, but also AO2, experimenting, trialing different medias. And again, her annotation builds part of her evidence as well. So on here we've got our first artist, and she looks at the imagery by the artist and then works her own photography, looking at expression, and puts her own little spin. And then we have beautiful little drawings taken from the photo. So that's drawn from her own picture, and then that's drawn from a painting by the artist. Okay, and then we turn over, so pencil studies. Then we have what looks like watercolour worked into with colour pencil, and some monoprints layered. So we've got at least 3 layers there. I can see the green working through the white and the blue. Now I know this artist was not keen on working on the sewing machine at all, and yet she had a go. And even if it was just box ticking, it's fine. So here's her colour studies page, and she's got onto the machine and she's drawn, and I think it's really successful. But I just really know that this was like pulling teeth for her. She didn't enjoy it at all, but it's in our book. And then she's realised actually it looks cool on both sides, and we've got some more annotation to read there. Then we have some batik, which again she's stitched into. There's some hand stitching going on and some machine work for further development, and a nice little silk painting there as well. And then we look at our second artist. Okay, and again annotated. Now she had her own lino cutting equipment at home, so this very tiny fine line is not a tool that we had in school, but we do have lino and lino cutters. But if you're looking at this as a student and thinking, how on earth, this is not how mine look in school, she had her own tool at home. But brilliant. And again, processing it onto different colours, working out which works well. Then we have her lines. So she's done some etching where I think from here she will have traced from a photograph onto her etching with the tool, and then she's printed onto both paper, which she's added watercolour, and onto fabric. And she hasn't stitched into that, but it's nice to see it on a different surface. She could have, but again, the student wasn't in love with the sewing machine. We've got some white ink onto black, and she's trialled again. And here we've got all these little extra bits that are just part of her quirky little style with her annotation. And again, there seems like a lot of writing in this one, but that is not a necessity. But for this student, that's how she liked to pour her heart and soul out in a book. Some beautiful illustrations here done in pen and wash and watercolour. Absolutely stunning. And then we've got a little wire drawing, again, just showing I am prepared to experiment with everything that I can get my hands on. But that's a really good page there. Very advanced little illustrations. And then we come to another artist. So this time she's looked at a photographer. So that's a nice range of different techniques and styles. And then she's got some really beautiful drawings, again in pencil, so similar to her last artist, but yes, appropriate to the media. I don't think she's got any of her own photography on there, but we saw that earlier on in the book, so that's an observation. Now we're on to our ideas pages. So she's drawn out, nicely presented, and we've got little doodle sketches, so not only are they in words, but they're also illustrated for us so we can see her thought process. This idea of a man on a stage, that's taken through for the final piece. And composition. So if this guy's going to be on the stage, what's our viewpoint? Are we going to see the whole body, as she says there, from a distance? Or are we going to zoom in and see him from a different perspective? Okay, and that's her illustrating her ideas as best as possible. So we've got some little rough plans here, and again, that's okay, that works well. This kind of labelling isn't necessary, but that's what she's chose to do. And this is basically how I'd like to produce my final piece. So big, strong blocks of colour. She then has ICT skills. She goes on to Photoshop, which is where I'm out of my comfort zone. But what she's got here are drawings on her tablet, and she's done some little screenshots. And that's really important because, especially in the world of AI, it's her evidencing, yeah, this is step by step. There's a photo of me. There's a photo of the student. And then from that, she takes that from a drawing and then adds rendering to it. And it's that she takes right the way through to her final piece. But yeah, it's a good way of referencing and also proving that these are yours, not just taken from the internet. And then again, last piece, final idea. This is what her final outcome was. She ended up working on a canvas, going quite big. And yeah, that was very good. You can see that those drawings are very high level. To score 9s, you are looking at getting into the exceptional box. Where this was exceptional, I think, is the drawing skills and the annotation. It was just her final piece, which was nicely evidenced through the book, just didn't make it as a final piece, but I don't have that to show you. But as I say, absolutely knocking on the door. There are elements here that are easily grade 9, but this was finally scored as a very top 8.